It's lovely to have you here.
It's nice to be here. It's nice
You
to be
look
back.
fantastic, by the way. Doesn't he look fantastic?
Well, I've had.
Excellent.
Well, this is actually the first sort of concert thing I've done for this year so far, and it's been 2 months of perpetual colds and flu. So, and a knee injury tonight as well. So I'm hobbling about. So but I'm okay.
But that's the thing about you. You never stop. You continually are making music, recording music, writing music. You're kind of endless in that.
I've never got to stop, Johnny. I've just got to keep going on and on and on and on and on. I think when you stop, you know, it's easy when you get older as an artist to kind of slip into a comfort zone. You know, put on your carpet slippers and do the 80s festivals forever, whatever, you know. To do that forever. But I think I can do that. I can do that fine. I can do that because I can do other things as well. And I like to always have challenges and doing new things that surprise me. Sometimes whether you succeed at them or you fail at them, you've just got to keep your energy level up and keep doing things, keep your mind going. Because I think it's very easy, so many people to slip into a safe, comfortable comfort zone.
I guess one of the more productive relationships of recent years has been with here, the College of Music.
And it has, yeah.
It seemed to be quite a pivotal moment. You've been made a fellow a few years ago.
Which was a great honour, and I look on my work with the Leeds College of Music as it's like a kind of continual story, really. It's kind of a journey that we're on. We did the show last year, the big concert of torch songs for the torch song theme. We did it here in Leeds at the town hall. We did it in the festival hall, and it was a great adventure to go on for everybody, for me and the musicians involved. And I'm sure that other things will, like tonight we're doing some songs from that show and a couple of others as well. And I'm sure in the future we'll kind of carry on that kind of partnership, kind of doing some as a continuing journey. Of
course, your career continues, but in the next few weeks, I guess, is a nice opportunity for a retrospective as Hits and Pieces, your latest album, comes out, which is a best of. But a best of Marc Almond from his collaborations and his
It's a greatest hits. It's called
Hits. I
Hits.
was trying to avoid saying greatest hits, but...
Well, it is. That's what it is on the tin. I wanted to be quite sure that it was what it is on the tin and not mislead people at all, because it's called Hits and Pieces, basically, because it's got all the biggest hits. I've had 13 top 30 hits. So it's got all the kind of big hits, it's got the kind of medium hits, it's got kind of ones that kind of people think were hits but weren't hits, and some that I like and should have been hits. So they're the kind of, it's got the big hits and the pieces as well. That's why it Hits and Pieces. But I suppose this time of my life, it's time for a retrospective. This year I had the box set Trials of Eyeliner out last year.
Which was 130 odd tracks or something?
I think something like that, about 10 discs, and I could have gone on for I did more discs to that. But now it's time for the greatest hits. It's for a bit of a different audience, maybe not so much my hardcore fans or my fans that kind of follow most things I do, but for a wider general public that kind of know all the hits, they know all the most popular songs, and they just want to hear those songs. And it's great to do that, and it's great that I've got that collection of songs to do.
And what is that like as an artist to look back over your body of work, which is now spanning, 40 years?
Well, I kind of love 40 years, 35.
35. Which is spanning much less than 40 years, and you don't look old enough.
Every year counts, you know. Every year counts. Well, I think it's been really interesting for me. It was interesting doing the box set, interesting doing these hits, and it's kind of nice to kind of have that. I don't say it's a kind of signing off. It's a kind of taking stock. It's taking stock of where I am, looking at all the stuff, because I don't listen back to my old albums and records a lot of the time. I do if I'm going to learn a song for a show, or I think, or maybe that would be kind of nice song to do, so I'll learn that and listen to it. But I don't listen to most of my albums. I haven't listened to, I barely listen to them at all.
There must be one. There must be a record. If you had to pick a single to listen back to, a record, which would it be?
Well, singles are easier because you kind of have this kind of love for your singles. They're like kind of little babies, and you kind of have a love for them. So it's easier to listen to singles. But listen to an album. I can listen to an album, I think, and all I hear is, oh, that did that wrong, did that wrong, did that wrong, did that wrong, did that wrong. And so, I could do that better, which you could. You look back, as in the beginning, I was a singer of naivety. I was almost an anti-singer in a way. I kind of come from punk, and I come from kind of like post-punk and all that kind of, and the Leeds, Northern England experimental electro scene, where it was kind of an anathema to sing really well. So you had to kind of be post-punk, like kind of Susie or something, and sing in this kind of monotone or sort of dispassionate sort of voice. And then along came sort of Phil Oakey, and Phil Oakey was like, he could actually, was doing kind of a crooning kind of singing to electronic music, and it sounded fantastic, you know, and it kind of made me sit up a bit and listen to, I love the early Human League, a lot of what was going on around the north of England in the electronic music. And as the years go on, you become a singer of experience. You learn how to sing better. You have singing tutorial. You sing different kinds of music. You do hundreds of concerts, make loads of records, work with some of the best producers in the music business. So you develop your voice. Your voice becomes a bit better. I couldn't sing "Say Hello, Wave Goodbye" like I sang it then, or "Tainted Love" like I sang it then. I wouldn't want to.
Take me back, if you would, then, to the early days. And I think it was 1977, which was 40 years ago, that you met David Ball at Leeds.
79, actually. About I think it was maybe 78, 79. Okay. 77, because Dave started at the Art College, the Leeds Art College, my last year there, which was, I think, was 79. And that's when we formed Soft Cell. I think we may have done some kind of experimental work together musically for kind of performance art that I was doing and stuff. But we actually became Soft Cell, I think, in 1979, and started performing as Soft Cell in 1979, an experimental northern electronic band.
Did you know that there was a market or an opportunity for something so unique and different that you were going to start making that?
I didn't think we were kind of a very arty experimental band. I didn't think we were going to become a pop success. We never intended to be. We were kind of a bit sort of, you know, I came from 5 years at Art College. The thought of being on top of the pops was kind of very alien to me. I never imagined that would ever happen in a million years. It just wasn't in my realm of thinking. And we wrote these kind of little short, kind of experimental little pop songs, mostly written by Dave at the time, that were kind of like TV adverts about consumerism, about kind of like having nervous breakdowns in suburbia and things like that. They eventually gradually found their way into more making into songs. Like "Say Hello, Wave Goodbye" was probably the first proper song that we wrote with a different view to being a song.
You formally released 2 singles. A Man Could Get Lost and Memorabilia, which in terms of chart success weren't that successful, let's say, but then in 1981, after being given another shot, things went quite well.
Once I ran to you, now I run from you. This tainted love you've given, I give you all a boy could give you. Take my tears and that's not nearly all. Tainted love.
Not changed a bit. Amazing. It's incredible. It's incredible. Thank God for the BBC archive.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Number 1 in 17 countries. Yeah. A world record, I think, was it 41 weeks in the American chart?
The Guinness Book of Records, yeah.
Guinness Book of Records. And the most surprising fact is you kept shaking Stephen's green door from number 1 as well.
Well, I think
a lot of people pleased about that, admittedly, yeah.
Well, I think at one point we were sandwiched in between Annika's Japanese Boy and Shakey's Green Door.
What a place to be.
It's a good place to be.
I think you'd said in your autobiography when you recorded that, you came out the studio and you weren't that hopeful it was really going to do that much.
No, I mean, we sort of thought we were a bit of a, we thought Phonogram, my record company at the time, kind of thought we were a bit of a novelty, I think. You know, we sort of done this song, this kind of electro northern soul song, and we loved it. We felt good about it. We never expected it would. We thought it would be a culty record played around the clubs like Memorabilia was. So we never really thought that it was going to be what was happening. Who could ever expect that? You know, who could ever expect that to happen? Certainly not us.
Is it right that you were playing Top of the Pops though, and then going back to your little bedsit in Leeds?
Well, I was sharing a house with students, yeah, and I was there when I got the call on the kind of payphone in the hall to say, yeah, you're in the charts, and you're going to be on Top of the Pops. And it was like life was never the same, because you remember the whole country watched Top of the Pops at that time, 3 channels on the TV. When you sold a big record, you sold a lot of records. So life was never going to be the same.
Well, obviously you sold millions of that record, so you would make millions, one would think, with that, but for a little bit of naivety, shall we say, on your behalf.
Yeah, and I probably did. The naive thing was that we had very bad advice at the time, and we recorded Tainted Love as a 12-inch, and we kind of impro'd in the studio into this Where Did Our Love Go bit, kind of dance bit. We made it as a 12-inch dance record. And when we had to do a B-side, the record company said, Oh, we just split it in half and put one on one side and one on the other side, not realising that if you put your own self-written song on the B-side, that's what you should do, because then you make as much royalties as you do on the A side. So that was a kind of a very kind of naive thing to do. But you know what the hell? It's one of those things. It's made me a lot of money. And even though I didn't write the song, and it still made me a load of money. So there.
It's a lesson to any of the.
And it still does.
It's a lesson to any of the students as well. Always write your own stuff, even for the B side.
Exactly. Always, whatever you do, if you do a cover version, always put your own song on the B side.
And it seems fitting that your next single was Bedsitter, because you still were living in that bedsit.
I'll wait for this one.
Having fun, and now I'm hiding from the sun, waiting for a visitor, though no one knows I'm here for sure.
But that is out there because...
It's fantastically out there.
That was really to wind the record company up and really annoy them a lot, because they said, "Oh, Mark, you must stop wearing all these bracelets on onto the pops. It's a bit camp and everything. It's a bit camp." So I said, "Well, I'm just going to go on and be really, really gay on top of the pops and wear a Leatherman's hat that I bought in New York and this leather outfit. I'll just be really, really fey and as camp as I possibly can."
Weren't they telling you to...
I mean, even when I look at that and I just think, that is out there, really, isn't it? That is so subversive.
They were telling you to invent girlfriends and this kind of other life that made you not wholesome, didn't it?
That's how it was then. You know, back in the 80s, it was a very different time. You know, my press officer was always thinking, you know, if I'd ever been, I was very friends with Susie at the time, or say Mary Wilson had appeared in my video, for example. They go, "Oh yeah, there'll be an affair. Let's have this an affair between you and Susie, or an affair between you and Mary Wilson. Let's invent something." And then apparently once I was even having it off with B.B. Buell, who was like a super groupie in Los Angeles, who'd kind of slept with Jim Morrison. so basically, it was kind of these wild stories, Cindy Ecstasy, you know. It was like that. We could have played up on that. We thought we'd get married just to kind of just to wind up the press department. But it was all part of like winding up Phonogram at the time and just being as really kind of subversive and as really mischievous as we possibly could.
But that then establishes you as a cult hero, really, and gives you quite a bit of power in terms of saying to other people, it's all right to be a bit different.
I think I soon tapped into the fact that a lot of my fans, a lot of the fans at the time, were kind of people who were kind of felt a bit kind of outside of the normality of life, or they'd been picked on at school, or they'd been set apart from people at school, or they felt they couldn't quite fit into kind of cliques or things like that. And I kind of felt like that when I was at school, you know, when I first saw Mark Bolan on Top of the Pops, and it was really far out at that time, because more than Bowie, well, when you first saw Mark Bolan on Top of the Pops, it was just like this, oh my God, this sexual sort of like kind of
otherworldly being.
Otherworldly, with glitter and long hair that wasn't masculine at all, yet was masculine. It was a strange blurring of the sexes, and it had much more of an impact than Bowie did later on. And I realised I soon could have that kind of, some of that power in a kind of naive way. I kind of realised, but I honed in on it, that I could have some of that kind of power.
You became fascinating for some people. You became so fascinating, they were making documentaries about you. Local news was making pieces about you, including our very own Look North, who came to see you.
Hello. Hello. Then wave goodbye.
Last year at this time, I just really could never see the day when anything was going to happen. I was really sort of down and depressed, you know.
Why did it take off in such a big way?
I wish I knew.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just caught people's imagination, I think.
If anyone really knows what makes things take off into like, to take things into like big success and, you know, chart success, then I think, you know, you could sort of tap it and sort of make a fortune out of selling the ideas, but it just happens. It's just a lot of the case being the right place at the right time, with the right sound, with the right song, with the right people. You know, it just happens. It's just something that clicks.
Incredible.
But that is fantastic. And the thing that I love about that and you and David Ball is you're almost apologetic about your success because you seem so unassuming with it. You seem confused by your own success.
We were confused by it and shocked, yeah, at first, yeah. We were very much a nightmare for Phonogram at first. We were really only trying to do their best and kind of market us, I suppose, once they saw something was kind of marketable. And we did everything possible to try and kind of still be art students, I think, and still try and sort of do things that would be subversive and wind them up and just really annoy them. That's amazing because, you know, if you could bottle that, you know, and for that, I mean, this is amazing, isn't it? It's incredible. I haven't changed hardly at all. It's fantastic.
We had to make you look older in that,
exactly.
actually. You were an act that obviously intentionally agitated at times and provoked people and went out there, but I'm thinking about the time that it was, and in Leeds at that time, 1981, a lot of National Front around, a lot of hooliganism. It can't have been easy to be yourself in a place like this.
No, it wasn't. It was very rough at that time. There was a lot of National Front in Leeds at that time, but it was also a real kind of. It was an amazing place because it was a very. You know, it always still is a student city. Lots of students, lots of music, lots of things happening, lots of things going on. A real kind of melting pot of kind of roughness and creativity, and it was very much the perfect place for kind of punk, really, when that happened, 76, 77, 78, around that time, around the north of England, around Leeds. It was that whole kind of electric kind of vibe that kind of went on with all that stuff. And yeah, it was really rough. And after I'd had success and been on top of the pops, it was very hard to live here because there was a lot of people kind of homed in on me. It wasn't like I could hide anywhere, like in a big city or London or one of the other big cities. People could find out where you were. You'd get a lot of aggression, a lot of kind of people who weren't very kind of happy about you. So, you know, it was time to move on.
Well, speaking of moving on, the hits continue: Say Hello, Wave Goodbye, Torch, the EP, Non-Stop, Ecstatic Dancing, and then The Art of Falling Apart, which I guess is one of the most appropriately titled albums ever when you consider what was happening to the band. And just talk us through a little bit of what it was like at that time.
Well, we were falling apart, really. Dave and I just, you know, we were great friends, but we kind of moved in other directions. I think New York, going to New York to record our first two albums was what really separated us, because we found different groups of friends, different people, different things, went in different directions, stayed in different places. We just came together in the studio, and there was a great distance between us. All that early stuff at college, you know, with writing Non-Stop Erotic Cabaret and all that early stuff, there was a great kind of camaraderie that we were thrown into this thing together, and we had to kind of see it through. We were both kind of trying to deal with it the best that we can. But New York kind of really sort of split us apart. And Dave didn't like performing live. I didn't like working in the studio. I hated at that time working in the studio. It was just boring. And so I just wanted to just go out and have a fantastic time all the time. And Dave. And we just decided when we were recording our third album, Last Night in Sodom, just to kind of go different ways. And there wasn't animosity or a fight or I hate you or anything like that. It was like, we just want to do something different now. It's
kind of like describing marriage to a lot of people.
Well, it was never really meant to be a permanent thing. But if, you know, I think, well, what happened if we'd have stayed together? You know, maybe we'd have gone through a rough patch. We'd have worked with a different producer, taken a couple of years break, come back and been Depeche Mode. But instead Depeche Mode went on and became us. So.
But you did say you left a gap for Depeche Mode to fill, really.
Exactly, we did. Yeah. They owe me.
Yeah. 1984, you do split up. It must have been quite scary when all the success you've known is together just with this one other person.
Yeah, I think, you know, I mean, we were very much chalk and cheese, but we had a very much, we liked a lot of similar things. We were brought together through a love of trash culture, of like, you know, kind of like TV adverts, sort of cult movies, cult books, kind of cult music. We both liked American sort of post-punk music and electronic music. So we had a lot of things that kind of brought us together that we liked in common, but we were very different.
Your next hit came from somebody from a very wholesome background, I think it's fair to say. Fast forward a few years, 1988, and it comes with Gene Pitney.
89.
89. 89.
Know if this is the real thing. I've got to know what's making my heart sing. Whoa, yeah. Smiling, I am lost for a lifetime. Each minute spent with you and
That vocal's phenomenal in that, isn't it?
I think we were miming, actually.
I mean on the record. I mean on the record, yeah. I mean on the record.
I'm a great supporter of bringing back miming on TV. I think those were great. The days when you used to mime really badly were great because you spend all this time in the studio making a great sounding vocal and a great record. Then you go on kind of TV and you just get this awful tinny, badly mixed sort of vocal that sounds absolutely terrible. So I always think bring back miming on TV.
Is that what you're doing tonight?
Especially, well, not tonight, but I think for early morning TV especially, you know, I just look at me and think, why do you mime? You know, you're making a personal appearance with your record. That's enough. You know, just mime to the record and jiggle about.
We spoke about your impact on Green Doors, and this actually took Jason and Kylie off of #1, especially for you.
I'm quite right too, I think.
So now Shakin' Stevens, Kylie and Jason now are on the hit list.
Well, it was working with Gene Pitney was a fantastic dream because I love 60s ballads and 60s music. And I kind of watched him when I was a kid on TV. I remember him so well. I loved all his ballads and all his his very distinctive voice that he had. And he's a kind of a legendary figure in the pantheon of pop music. And to kind of be years later singing a song that he had a hit with, that he was guesting on my song, was great. And he was so gracious and he was so really nice and so professional. Much more professional than me, and I kind of watched him and I thought, you know, I want to be a bit more professional like him. I want to kind of grow up in music. I want to grow out of this art student attitude that I have all the time and kind of be a bit more professional and be a bit more kind of and learn from him as a kind of performer. And he was such a great guy and a lot of fun. Is
it quite surreal when you find yourself in the studio or writing face to face? You know, whether it is Gene Pitney or somebody like Jarvis Cocker who wrote for you for one of your previous albums?
I Jarvis once,
really?
Very briefly. I think we did Past in a corridor once. So, yeah, it was nice. I was amazed he wrote a song for me. It was fantastic. It was really lovely of him. It was fantastic. I think we did meet briefly once, but you know, it's kind of. I think when you're very young in your teenage years, you're about 13, and you started buying records when I was 13. And years later, you meet people that you bought records of and things like that. It's kind of a weird, surreal experience, but it sort of closes a circle as well. And you know, and they're asking you to sing with them, you know, or wanting to sing with you. So it's a great. It's some weird, strange, fantastic thing.
And speaking of working with people, Tony Visconti as well, which must have been incredible. And I know you worked with Trevor Horn as well, which led you to score another hit.
I've worked with the best.
And they would say that about you too. The days of Pearly Spencer.
Days of Pearly Spencer. The race is almost run. Nose pressed hard on frosted glass, gazing past the swollen mouths on concrete fields where glows no grass.
That's why you should mime on TV.
Well, that sounded great.
Oh, look, you've got Trevor Horn doing this beautifully produced vocal for you that sounds really lovely. For me, I think that's. I wish I'd mimed on that show, but.
You're your own worst critic. I mean, when it comes to something like this or your previous hits, it's a difficult balance between commercial and critical success, isn't it? And how much do you weigh the two? How much do you care about either one?
Well, kind of. I kind of gave up. The day I kind of gave up bothering about critical success was the day I started getting good critical sort of acclaim for things. And so I don't know, you know, I mean, I always think that everything that I do just always has to be me, whatever it is, whether it's a commercial pop record or whether it's kind of something that's something operatic or left field or something. It always has to be me right at the center of it. I don't kind of often think of things like what's commercial and what's not commercial. Like David Bowie, he did things that were kind of very left centre and right of centre, and some terrible pop records as well, some fantastic pop records, but some kind of ones they think, what was he thinking when he made that record? And that's kind of like everybody that's been around for like so many years. You make good things, you make bad things, but you like them at the time. You think, oh, this is great, oh, this is really good, I'm going to do this. But then afterwards you think back, oh, maybe that wasn't so good, you know, and I don't judge things by what's commercial or kind of left field or anything really. I'm not really kind of sure. What I think is a good pop record, most people don't think is a good pop record. So, you know, I mean, I really don't know. I don't know how to make a hit single, to be quite honest. I haven't got a clue. Somebody else has to make it for me and say, I'm going to make you a hit single, and you're going to sing on it, and this is what it's going to be. And I think, oh, is that a hit single? And they go, well, yeah, it could be. So I put my things like that in other people's hands.
I saw you described as being obsessed and one of the most inspired, restless mavericks that we have. And is that the key to your success? Just always having to move forward and to try something?
Yeah, because I've got concentration deficit. As I can't concentrate on anything for more than one minute or 2 minutes. I have to zip around all the time doing different things. I've tried over recent years to be much more focused. And now I'm kind of older, I feel I have to be focused because I just can't multitask as much as I used to. I mean, I still have a lot of energy, loads of energy, but I don't have the energy that I had 10 years ago. I don't have the room in my brain that I had 10 years ago for everything now. I kind of try to focus much more. Right, first we'll do this, then when this is finished, we'll do this, and when this is finished, we'll do that. But I still find that hard. I find myself doing one thing. People trying to pull my focus away all the time from different things, which is like in this business. So I've got about 6 things on the boil at the moment that I'm kind of trying to juggle and trying to hopefully throw them at the wall, and something, two or three of them might stick.
Ladies and gentlemen, Marc Almond.
Thank you very much.